Good evening and welcome to the 50th commencement exercise of Morristown Hamlin High School East. Welcome, and at this time, I present to you our first speaker of the night, Ms. Gabby Henriquez. Band members, choir members, at this time, you need to
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the 50th commencement ceremony of East High. At this time, I please ask you to silence your cell phones and remain respectful by holding your applause until the end of the ceremony. My name is Gabrielle Henriquez, and I was the student body president of East High this past year. The last 4 years at East High have provided me with both the skills and spirit I will need to fulfill my dreams at college this fall. I must thank Mr. Johnson for the endless conversations about restaurants and new lawnmower tires, and having the faith in me to be one of the first students to meet our new superintendent, Dr. Perry. I would also like to thank Dr. Perry himself for embracing our community with open arms and allowing me the opportunity of being on his Student Directors Advisory Council. I can't rightfully speak without also thanking the entire faculty and staff of East High for all the support and guidance throughout these 4 years. Specifically, I would like to thank Rachel Acuff, Kathy Helen McClellan, and Tony Woolley. Señora Acuff, gracias por su ayuda durante los años con español, porque de su influencia yo quiero continuar español en la universidad. Ms. Acuff, thank you for your help during the years of Spanish. Because of your influence, I want to continue Spanish in college. As I mentioned before, East High has helped me become who I am today. Two specific teachers, Ms. McClellan and Mr. Woolley, gave me the confidence and morals that have helped me persevere through high school. I thank you both for all the advice and life lessons you have taught me. I will never forget our student council inside jokes, Helen. And Woolley, thank you for your unwavering confidence in my abilities. I wouldn't be standing here tonight on this stage without it. I know the thank yous are starting to get old, but I just have a few more left. Thank you to my friends and family for guiding me down the right path and helping me accomplish my goals. Mom, thank you for always being there for me, even though no amount of thank yous will ever seem like enough. You're always going to be my #1 fan. As most of my friends already know, my grandma has been very sick for the past 5 years. And during that time, all she told the doctors was that she wanted to see her granddaughter graduate. Well, I'm happy to say she is sitting in the crowd tonight. Thank you for everything you have done for me, Abuela. We both made it. As I start the next chapter of my life at LSU this fall, I'll remember all the wonderful memories I made at East High. I look forward to seeing all of you at our 10, 20, and even 50-year reunions, where I know we will be surrounded by engineers, electricians, artists, and other successful people. Just remember, once a hurricane, always a hurricane. Thank you.
Good job, Gabby. Next, Ms. Megan Porter.
Class of 2018, my fellow graduates, we are the 50th graduating class from Morristown Hamlin High School East. We are the 50th class of hurricanes to have 4 memory-filled years at East High. We are the 50th class of students to make it to the stage, to receive our diplomas, and to go out and take the world by storm. Morristown High School started out at the Rose Center before it outgrew the space. From there, it moved to a building that sat directly in front of our current central office. Still not enough space. In 1923, it moved to its current location. However, the student body quickly outgrew their space there, so the decision was made to split the students between 2 high schools. The year after the split, both East and West had over 1,000 students. So much has changed in the past 50 years. Take phones, for example. Today, we don't go anywhere without our touchscreen mini computers. 50 years ago, though, just talking on the phone required sitting in one place, unless you had an especially long cord, in which case you could maybe pace a bit. And internet had not even been invented hardly. It was not readily available at all. If you had to write a research paper, you couldn't just type Revolutionary War into Google and get thousands of results. You would have had to go to the library and search through the card catalog to find the correct section in which the books lived. And then the actual writing of the paper would be very different as well. We, as a generation, don't typically handwrite very many things. That would be a lot of effort with none of the added benefits of spell check or copy and paste. However, students 50 years ago would have had to write most of their assignments by hand, as computers only existed in large companies, and typewriters weren't very common in most households either. Music has also changed quite a lot in the past 50 years. Not only have the genres expanded and multiplied, but we now have apps that play music of our choosing instead of a bulky radio that plays 2 or 3 local stations. And even though we don't go back 50 years, we do have 13 years of shared school history. And although I can't relate to all of you who have been at Hamblin County your entire school careers, I know we've all had some of the same memories. What would we be today without all our field days, AR tests, pizza parties, gym classes, cursive lessons, solar system models, and 100 days of school celebrations? We all remember being a guest to the Q&U wedding, or, if you were lucky enough, the bride or groom. And we can never forget, the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. We all grew up on the good Disney Channel, watching our heartthrobs grow up into characters like Jughead Jones. We traded silly bands until they were forbidden, and skated around the halls on our Heelys until we were caught. Looking back at kindergarten, we couldn't have imagined who we have become. Even our 8th grade selves would be amazed at who we are today. The past 4 years have shaped us in ways we would not have expected. We've made friends and foes. We've grew together as much as we grew apart. As they say, East High is a place where teachers encouraged us to break the status quo and define ourselves as we choose, where a jock can cook up a mean creme brulee and a brainiac can break it down on the dance floor. East High is having friends we'll keep for the rest of our lives, and that really does mean we are all in this together. Once a hurricane, always a hurricane. And while the last 4 years of our lives may not have been the best years of our lives, they will be remembered. And even though so many before us have done exactly what we are doing today, that doesn't make it any less special. And as Fred Weasley once said, it's time to test our talents in the real world. Thank you.
Next, Mr. Blake Honeycutt.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Joshua Blake Honeycutt, and I'm honored to speak to you as one of many representatives of the class of 2018. It's a tremendous reward after years of late-night study sessions and complaining about having no life outside of school. But in all honesty, academic excellence holds a special place in my heart and will continue to direct my path in life long after I've crossed the stage. Before I begin, I must thank my family for all the support they've shown me for the past 18 years, down to the very last penny. My family is the only reason I've been able to worry about my classwork, and not from where my next meal will come from. I'm also grateful for the friendships I've formed over the past 4 years. My closest friends are always there to pick me up when I fall down and to celebrate my accomplishments when I exceed expectations. Finally, I would like to thank every teacher I've had throughout the years for providing me with the knowledge I needed to make it to this point, especially Ms. Kathy McClellan and Ms. Rachel Acuff. You've both helped me to realize my potential far beyond the classroom and have led me closer to reaching it. Now, this momentous occasion brings me bittersweet satisfaction, as I'm sure it does for many of you here tonight. As parents, you may be overjoyed to see your children shake Mr. Johnson's hand at last, but hurt to know that they will soon face the realities of life outside of school. As teachers, you may be overjoyed to start your summer vacations, but reluctant to trade the students who have become your own children for those who are to come. For those of us graduating, we may be clamoring to escape the walls of East High, but unprepared to leave behind the friends and memories we've made over the past 4 years. We should all rejoice, however, that the future lies in the passionate and ambitious hands sitting in front of me. We will build a better world and tear down the boundaries that have constrained generations before us. We will show that love has no limitations. We will show that mankind thrives regardless of the genders of its leaders. We will show that hate sways only the weak. Most importantly, we will show that believing in these goals doesn't just make us hippies. I've realized over the past month, though, that we must first overcome all of our prejudices. The circumstances surrounding the separation of those in the honors and distinction sections from the rest of the graduating class has proven to be a greater obstacle to our success than anyone could have expected. If this had been one of Mr. Ramsey's infamous practice AP calculus exams, the graduates sitting in the front rows would have failed miserably. I'm ashamed to admit that at first, I agreed with the honors and distinction sections. Separate us from them. Yet, the more I pondered the issue, the more I realized that doing so would add absolutely nothing to my accomplishments. In fact, it only detracts attention away from my fellow graduates who must now sit in the back for working just as hard to graduate. Believe it or not, high school isn't easy, and we all deserve our chance in the spotlight for never giving up. I would be more than honored to sit next to any of you. Perhaps the class of 2019 will just have to show us that it's possible. As the Greek biographer Plutarch once said, what we achieve inwardly will change outer reality. We must follow this advice and remember that in calling ourselves the class of 2018, we're not referring only to the people we've seen every day in class. We're referring to everyone we've grown with over the past 13 years. I believe that tonight represents East High's final lesson in humility, even if it takes another 13 years for us to appreciate this truth. Then, and only then, will we truly be able to claim our spots as one of the most influential generations in human history. Thank you.
Next, Mr. Stephen Cole Horner.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, fellow members and peers of the senior class. It is now that we have arrived at this paramount hour, a unique instant respected by its existence, a body gathered together to celebrate the magnificent spirit of this time as hosts and as spectators, as brothers and sisters in the quest for the greater for both the present and the future. It is in this moment in time that will assure its singularity once it departs from us, a moment that will be hearkened back to in thought of the past in times both near and afar. This is the signifying path of the unknowing to the knowledgeable, and the total of all which has been. In it, all the components which have composed the existence of the lives before me are lives suspended amid a vast array of parts, and held before the eyes of ourselves, of our neighbors, and of God. This is a moment unparalleled. It is the root of the unimaginable yielding before reality, and the path from which the mind and the heart are ready not as a child, but as men and women whose fate, now boundless, it sees us in affinity as we peer onwards from anticipating hearts. There we look to the soul and mind to inform ourselves of our virtues and sentiments, and perceive the past in our present selves, and equally the present from our past selves to measure the objective good of our future. This is the future resting on the breasts of each of you, as you inhale dust of the ancient earth and ancient man, and exhale these dust with the additions of youth, soul, composure, conscience, and knowledge, with a seed that will be planted on both ancient and new lands, to grow and mature to the characters of a new world. You and I are the future. The future lies before me in each individual, in each face, in each mind, and in each soul. We are the whole of society in the ensuing years, years that we will arrive at quickly. Peer now among the faces that surround you. In this midst, see in each face the world, and see all future existence before you. Conceive the man and the woman. Conceive the craftsman, the doctor, the carpenter, the professor, the mechanic, the clerk, the accountant, the pastor, the magistrate, the poet and the writer, the scientist, the engineer, the factory worker, the mother and the father, and conceive to direct kindness to them and cherish them as an acquaintance and as a friend in this fainting moment. Cherish them as their footsteps will resound in your lives most explicitly resound when you peer upon these very same, my apologies. Cherish these people as their footsteps will resound in your lives, and they'll most explicitly resound when you peer upon these very same faces from older eyes and recall this moment and those years in their presence. It is then that we will return to the halls of East and examine the instructors whose teaching and sometimes reprimands will then be regarded as a benefit. The communal hours spent with friends, the utter delight of those flirtatious expeditions and young romances, the excitement spread during sunset at football games, and we will recall those climbs up stairwells that were then the unknowing ascendants to a greater knowledge for ourselves and our posterity. Now we embark unto tomorrow. With God as our Creator, He has granted unto us the breath of life, the breaths of the ancestors He did provide, and it is these ancestors that we are to hold in respect. Principles of knowledge and of humanity are the result of ancient quest of understanding, a wisdom that implored the labor of both man and woman to form the present of society and the esteemed institutions that compose it. Without a past that provides us with precedents, there is no present, a present which is our life. And without the joining of both this past and present, there is no future. It is required that we devoutly preserve and implement principles of virtuosity, benevolence, laborious diligence in our craft, and encompass all this within the realms of morality for the enlightening and preservation of ourselves. We must virtue our democracy, our liberty, and our independence of mind for the progress and preservation of our country and society. We must create new and original works and concepts that have never crossed the human mind to extend the quest within ourselves and outwards to the world around us. As Aristotle said, educating the mind without educating the heart is no education at all. So most important of all is that we revere God as foremost in all that we do and hold Him within our hearts. For it is the heart of man that dictates him in whole and renders him either base or human. It is that same heart that permits me to extend my greatest love to each one of you. For you have been the greatest of friend and stranger, and you have been above all a blessing to my life and to my existence that will never depart from my memory. I thank each and every single one of you. With our heart aligned, let us now prepare to depart. Let us seek eagerly the dawn of tomorrow as it calls us forth. Let us venture with curiosity to obtain knowledge. Let us seek the great vastness of the unknown. Let us conjure the spirit of yesterday and appraise the virtues of the unfailing. Let us enfold the vastness by filling it with our conceptions and peace in self and acquaintance. let us avow the unquestionable evidences of nature and decency, and let us, above all, live and fulfill this one life, as it is all of existence that we shall ever know and ever be. Let us, all in God's will. Thank you.
Graduating class, I just have a few words for you tonight. I want to talk about success. The list of successful people who experienced failure goes on and on. The things that all of these people had in common in their path to success are they never gave up. They never stood with their hand out expecting the world to owe them. Instead, they stood with their hand out to give to the world. They never gave up. They also had people in their lives, as you do and as you have had, and you will continue to have, to stand with them and to stand with you. They at one point in their lives had someone to lean on. You've had many people in your lives to lean on. You as hurricanes now and forever will always be a hurricane, will always have someone in your life to lean on. Graduates, I am now going to turn you over to Dr. Perry. Show him your complete attention, please.
Ladies and gentlemen, I was once told that the secret to public speaking is to make sure that you're through talking before people are through listening. And so this evening, I understand that we are at this point in your journey that words matter very little at this point. Individuals will not remember what we say this evening, but they will remember what you do. This is the time now that words are at the end, and it's time that you begin to experience life as a graduate, and we wish you the very best. And so as we go through this process this evening, please know that you'll always have a home in Hamlin County. And my only regret standing in front of you here this evening is that I did not have longer to spend time with you and be with you through your whole high school experience. It's been a wonderful place to be, and it's been wonderful getting to know you. So by the power vested in me by the state of Tennessee and the Hamlin County Board of Education, I pronounce you graduates of Morristown Hamlin High School East. Graduates and platform guests, please prepare for the distribution of diplomas.
Garrett Adam Free. Jamie Melissa Frias. Jesus Velasquez Galvez. Noah Eugene Gardner. Hazel Marlene Crystal Garrett. Samantha Carolyn Lee Gray. Rebecca Gladys Greenbaum. Caitlin Brianne Green. Skylar Dwight Green. Alicia Mercedes Gray. Cody Wayne Grisham. Jennifer Guzman. Mason Davis Hance. Sean Alexander Hance. Trevor Lynn Harbin. Theodore Ray Harris. Dylan Taylor Ray Hensley. Mike Hernandez Garcia. Maricruz Hernandez. Nathaniel Marquez Harrell. Nevin Deontay Harrell.